everyone. Welcome once again to this session on the business analyst role in the VUCA world. Uh, Today's session, focuses on people who want to either excel or want to make their career in solution architecture or business analysis. We have Nikhil Sharma from Netcracker. Nikhil is a telecom consultant with over 15 years of experience in various business transformation projects across the globe. He leads the CRM domain and the knowledge management charter of the BSS digital practice in his current role at Tracker Technology. So over to you, Nikhil.
Yep, thank you. I'm audible?
Yeah.
Great. So good evening, everyone. Thanks for taking time out and joining this session. Let's get started. So this is a brief roadmap or my experience level so far. So currently, as Puneet mentioned, I play a role of a lead business analyst. In Netcracker, business analysis role is a sort of a solution designer plus the business analysis. So we call it as a techno-functional role. I have done several hats in terms of the pre-sales, project management, and the stakeholder management in the current organization and my previous organization. The second part of the hexagon, this is my due diligence as in the corporate world. The left part of it is something I enjoy more, which is enabling the team, mentoring and coaching, as well as managing the stakeholders. Right. I find my mojo in the intersection of the business and technology because I certainly believe that business analysis is a evergreen field. It's just that the problems are changing every day. Otherwise, we keep getting the relevant problems in day-to-day life and enjoy solving those. So for me, this is what I do in a day-to-day job. Okay, so the next one, let's start digging about the topic further. We have mentioned about the VUCA world quite a few places, right? So from my perspective, if we have to define the business analysis role, I will divide it into two aspects. The first is business and technology, and the second is the VUCA world. So there are two variables where business analysis field is going to operate, right? So business analysis right now is no more a pure technical or a pure functional job or the responsibility. It's a good hybrid of the business and technology. And at the same time, we are in a situation or in a world, which I want to call it as a dancing reality. Every day, the situation is changing, the technology is changing, the problems which were relevant yesterday is not going to be relevant today. So we are in a world where we are dealing with volatile, uncertain, chaotic, and ambiguous situations every day. And that is the VUCA. So business analysis fields or the stream brings lots of challenges and excitement because of this variable in the different arena of the corporate, which is one is a business, another is a technology. I remember a few years back when I was starting my career, I did go to my manager and I said that I want to operate in the functional side of the world. And the biggest advice I got at the time was there's no functional world in this time, right? So you have to make technology your friend and also be business aligned. So business analysis in one picture is a hybrid of business, which is a customer, as well as the technology. Of course, there will be a spectrum or there will be folks, depending on the domain, depending on the background, will vary more on the business, more on the technology. We will cover this in the subsequent slides, but overall, it's a good combination of the business and technology. And I certainly believe that we as a business analyst, or for that matter, any consultant in the corporate world is dealing with chaos already, and being calm and maintaining the calmness or bringing the calmness in the VUCA world is a competitive advantage, because we as a business analyst or the solution designer will only be able to give or suggest the solutions only if we are in the right mind space. And that is the reason we have to deal with this VUCA world at a very decent skill set, right? So that is pretty much on this. This is a combination of business and technology, and it is going to be there as long as there are problems. Business analysis or business analyst will always be employable as long as we are able to solve the problems. Okay, moving to the next one is let's unpack this further and understand that irrespective of the background, irrespective of the technology, irrespective of the domain, what are the corporates looking for, right? So what is the optimum skill set or the matrix, if I could put it that way, which corporates are looking for, and probably put the business analyst in a position to not only the survive but thrive, right? So this is my view, this is my perception based on my experience. I have seen lot of successful people and few failures as well, and I do believe that these four dimensions or the 360-degree dimensions of the skills play a very important role. So the very first I will put it is soft skills, right? So as a business analyst, or in the business analysis stream, soft skill is one of the foundation skills which is very important, irrespective whether you are a customer facing or not. And when we talk about soft skills, from my perspective, I consider these as the top three, which is business communication, second is the presentation skills, and third, and very important, somehow underrated, is the listening skills. As I said, whether you are in a customer facing role or you aspire to be a customer facing role, or you are in a project or in a situation where you're dealing with the internal stakeholders, these three skills are very important, because no matter how good you are with the technology, no matter how good you are with the problem solving skills, if you're not able to articulate the problem well, if you're not able to understand and listen the customer's problem, something somewhere will be missing. So soft skills, from my perspective, is a very important. And this skill set, which we are going to see in this slide, is not in any specific order, right? So this is some sort of a skill map for all of us to assess where we are and probably which are the areas we want to improve. And no matter which experience level you are, someone somewhere will be good, and someone somewhere has to improve. So please consider and see this as an area where you need to assess, or you can assess yourself in these paradigms. So soft skills, I would say, for a business analyst role, or for that matter, a solution designer or a solution architecture role, where we're dealing with the stakeholders, internal as well as external, it's a non-negotiable. Second one is a behavioral skills. Now, the behavioral skills has been categorically different from the soft skills, and these are very relevant for anyone. So now behavioral skills is not only relevant or specific required only for a business analyst, but for any professional or anyone who's working in the corporate world. And the three attributes which you can see in the screen is the accountability, time management, and trustworthiness. So accountability is a sense of ownership, where if something has been assigned to you or something you have taken up as a responsibility, one should always remember that the world is watching. Whatever you're delivering is being seen as your signature or as your brand. So every work which we do is either working towards or against your personal brand, right? So, and for the customer facing role, it is more important. So you have to deliver what you have promised. Time management is a very great topic, and to be detailed in probably in some other session, but it is something which talks and which refers about the priorities, right? So not all problems have equal weightage, so you have to prioritize. One should prioritize the problems and deal with them. And the third is trustworthiness, which is very specific about what sort of relationship you are building with your stakeholders. In this whole presentation, we are going to talk about business analyst role, but please remember that for that matter, business analyst role can be, or in Netcracker at least, is a solution designer role as well. So whichever topics or characteristics we are going to discuss is going to be applicable for all the corporates or all the professionals working in that area, right? Not only for a business analyst. So behavioral skills is very, very important. If it goes hand in hand with the soft skills, it does wonder. And behavioral skills is something sadly is not very much teachable in, at least in the college, right? So after the college, people come to the corporates and they do and observe. So most of the times I've seen the folks learn this from the observation, but this is something which is very relevant and somehow very underrated. But I believe that this plays a very important role for the business analysis role. Great. So we talked about 2 skills so far, soft skills and behavioral skills. Any guesses? What will be the third skill? Anything you can imagine? Just put it on the chat if you are closely observing, if you have something in mind. Anyone?
Yeah, so we have messages coming in.
Yep.
So we have technical skills.
Yeah. Business domain.
Arvagya, Lean, they're talking about technical skills, problem-solving skills.
Super. Yep.
Abhishek says business domain. Padmaja says presentation skills.
Yeah, Puneet, I can see.
Yeah,
thank you.
sure,
Yeah, I have opened it. Yeah, thank you. Consultative, great. So great responses, folks, and very much on the same lines. Yes, analytics. Very much on the same line is the third one. I would say is the domain. Right now, domain sense is very important. And honestly speaking, I have seen this in the 2 aspects. Right. So when I worked in South Africa or in the Western world, what I've observed is that there are some fantabulous business analysts who are working in a very alien domain, but they're doing great. So domain sense is very important for a business analyst, especially in the product companies, right? So in Netcracker, if I could put that way, domain knowledge is very, very important. How do we perceive customer challenges, whether we understand customer challenges or not, whether a person or a team member understand that why these projects are being launched at the first place. What are the business KPIs one is going to meet or one is striving to meet. So domain sense is very, very important. Now, as I said in the beginning, domain plays a role. At some part of the world, I have seen a great BAs, business analysts and business professionals. They learned the domain very quickly. However, at some places, especially in India, I have seen that we do a great importance to the domain. Yes, it can be learned, but then over a period of time, it takes time, right? It takes time to understand the domain specifics and domain nuances. But yes, if one aspires to grow in this role, domain sense is very important. One needs to understand what is happening in the field, what is relevant, right? What is the key challenges for the operators? And most of the operators have typically common challenges, right? They want to do a faster time to market. They want to improve their call centers. They want to improve the first time resolution. However, if you understand the average revenue per unit, ARPU, right? How do we improve that? The folks who have worked on the both sides, operator side as well as the vendor side, it is more important, right? It is equally more important to understand about the customer. So yeah, domain sense from my perspective is the third leg of this 4-dimensional matrix. Especially in India and especially for the folks who are in the higher experience side, it is very difficult to change the domain. I'm not saying it is impossible, but it is slightly difficult because industry give due importance to the folks who are already in the domain for a long time. Last one, any guesses? I think I already see some answers about technical and technology, management and analytical. Probably, I will go in the similar line, which is a technology sense. Uh, as I said in the previous slide, business analysis role is no more of a functional role. In Netcracker, it is a pretty much techno-functional role. But in the other sides, in other companies, I have seen that pure functional guys or the folks cannot bring the pure conviction, because ultimately you are not going to work in the isolation. You are going to deal with development team and the QA team, solution architecture team, and you have to build a common vocabulary and terminology. The other day I was speaking to my team and I said that if you have to gain the respect of your colleague, especially in development and the QA side of the folks, you need to bring your technology sense little up, right? And of course, this is not going to be a very deep dive technology, but you need to understand what are the system fundamentals, what are the typical design patterns, what are the best practices in the different field, so that one can engage in those conversations and in fact at some point of time can contribute uh, to those discussions. Technology is a driver for all the business transformation these days. It is very important for one to have a be a technology aware guy, right? You should not, these terms should be familiar for the people who are working on this side, so that they can do a justice, right? Of course, depending on the previous background, few folks grow from the technical or the development to a business side. Few folks directly start with the BA side. So one of these four paradigms of aspects may be stronger or weaker, but in order to be a good all-round 360 business analyst, I would say these four skills are very important. Now, what is the proportion of these four skills, right? And what if you have only one, or what if one have only one of these or two of these? So what I feel, and I'm just going to put this into slide, is the combination. So anyone who has four of these in a good proportion, they are going to be the linchpins. So linchpins are the people who are indispensable in their teams. They are favorite of their managers and the leadership team, because they have the right proportion of these skills. They have the right temperament because they are already skilled in these areas, and they have the right skill set to do anything, right? So they go into domain, they already understand domain, they have the technology sense, they have the soft skills, and they have the behavioral skills. So these people will always be, if I could put this way, forever employable, right? Employers are going to chase them, managers are going to chase them, because this is a niche category. Any three of these are the people who are performer. I won't call them linchpin yet, because from my perspective, all four are very important. So three of these people will fall into the performer category. They are good people. They perform well. They are able to contribute, right? Two of these good contenders, right? So if anyone here who aspire to be in the business analysis solution architecture role, or who is already in technical or QA role and wants to move into these sort of roles, I would say it is a good contender. But you have to do your self-assessment where two other domains or two other areas one should need to skill up. And one of these is I would consider as a beginner. So if somebody has a good technology sense, wants to move into the business analysis, you need to work on the other three sides, because if one has a good behavioral skills but they're lacking on three other sides, yeah, it is going to be a big one. One needs to ramp up and take it to the next level. And to be honest, we all are not 100% skilled in these areas. It varies. As I said, depends on the background, depends on the team you are, depends on your manager, depends on you, whether you are aware of it, and whether do you have an intentional plan to upskill on these areas? So it's some sort of a feedback loop to understand and assess accordingly. Okay, let's move to and please feel free to post questions in Q&A if you have any.
Nikhil, we have one question wherein Sarvagya is asking, is there any assessment which can help identify strong and weak areas?
Yeah, I hope this question is related to this slide. Yeah. So, yeah, I believe I'm not sure whether I have the 100% right answer for this. It depends on which areas you planning or you want to improve on, Sarvagya. One has to review this. So there are 360-degree assessments available freely in Google and other places where you can review it. My only suggestion is that do not only look into the technology skills, look into the behavioral and the soft skills and do that assessment. IIBA, International Institute of Business Analysis, also give a lot of importance on these skills, and they have some certain certifications on and assess those criteria. So yeah, you can read more about it either through 360 assessment or probably IIBA.
Great.
Any other? How difficult or easy to developer to be a switch? So Shweta, again, it depends on the very much on the background. I won't say, okay, so let me answer this in other way around. I am hiring for my team, right? And I believe a good developer brings a lot of value for the BA as long as they have soft skills and behavioral skills up to certain level, right? Of course, these skills can be taught and we do train people. So as long as you have a good technology sense and then you bring some certain other values to the table, which we are going to discuss or probably talk about in the next slide, definitely we can. Okay, let's move on to the next question, next slide. We can review the other questions towards the end of the session. Okay, so now this is my favorite slide, and because I prepared it, not only because I prepared it, but it gives a very different perspective and probably may give some of the answers you may be looking for. So where do I fit it? This is also not only for the folks who are already a BA, but also for the one who wants to come into this area, right? And as I said, this is VUCA world. Everything is changing, right? Whatever you are upskilling today, believe me, it's not going to be relevant 2 years down the line. So we have to upskill with a very high speed. But if we have to factor this skills in one of these framework, so I want to take an example of it is as good as, let's assume you are in a war, right? And you are in a war, you are a part of the army, and let's assume you are capturing a new territory, right? So in general, this army will consist of 3 sort of teams, and for the sake of discussion, we will call it commando, we will call it infantry, and then the police, right? Commando is the first line of army whose role and the job is to acquire at a very fast pace, right? Whose job is to make sure that they do execute very fast. These are the people who do not take care or care about the structure. Speed of the execution matters, right? This can be an example of the startups who is doing faster prototype, etc. But let's keep the focus on the business analysis of the world, and we will correlate. The second sort of army here will be the infantry, who takes care of the commandos. And whatever work they have done, they are going to test it. They are going to, I would say, build it further, right? So commandos have captured the new city. They have taken a control. Now infantry is going to build it. Infantry is going to redesign. or probably infantry team is going to build something on top of it. Here, the structure, okay, we'll come about the structure. Let me talk about the police as a last. And the third is the police. Now, the police is the team who is going to maintain, right? Police job is to maintain the status quo, whatever has been built by infantry, make a control of it, make a control changes, make a BAU changes and control it, right? Now, if we correlate with these in a typical projects, right, or in the scenarios where we are operating it, I see a lot of similarity. And the similarity is this. So commandos are going to be working in the project initiation phase. We call it in Netcracker as a blueprint phase. So project initiation phase is the phase where lots of changes happens, because this is a very beginning in the business transformation side. High chaos, nothing is decided, right? You are the people who are going to frame the law of the land, if I could put that way. There's a very high speed of the execution, and as I said, you will not have the documents, you will not have policies. Probably these are the people who are going to lay down the policies. Now, these aspects may vary depending on organization to organization, but these are the people who like speed, right? And they hate structure. So this is the first phase of the project, and of course, everybody likes structure, but then this is the beginning. So that is the reason: high chaos, high execution speed. Then the second is design and build phase, right? And the design and build phase are the team who is going to take over from the commandos, and whatever promises have been done, you are going to fulfill it, whether true or false. I would leave it to your imagination. You're going to build the hypothesis. You're going to test the prototypes which were promised by commandos, right, or the previous. So here also the structure is not great. Of course, better than the previous stage. You will have certain rules and processes at a very basic level, but this is where you are going to design, right? So this is the design and the build phase of the project. And the third is in-life maintenance and enhancement. So by the time we are into infantry or the police stage of the project, the commandos have already left. Either they are into the new territory or they are into new missions, right? So generally the handshake is happening between only commandos and infantry, not between commandos and police. So police are the folks who are going to be in the maintenance side of the project, where they will focus on the efficiency, how fast their team is going to perform, right? How much scale we can do on the processes, how efficient we are in terms of the business BAU changes, right? Now, if you assess yourself, or probably again doing a 360 analysis, there will be certain people in this call who hate chaos, right? Who likes to work in a systematic, structured fashion, right? So for those sort of people, probably project initiation phase is not great, right? You will never be satisfied. You will have lots of concerns, and probably you will be going to your manager every other day that this is working, this is not working. However, the people who are in the commandos aspects, right, they will love this, right? Because they like to execute very fast. They don't care about the structure. So, and in any life cycle of the business analysis of the solution architecture, if you're part of the transformation project, you will see all these three phases, right? If you join in the middle, then probably you're part of the infantry, or if it is a major CR enhancements project or the BAU changes, then you're part of the police. The key takeaway I want to highlight is not only talking about these aspects, but talking about how well aware about your interest and how you want to take it up, right? So a person with the police aspects or the characteristics probably may not enjoy commandos work, and vice versa, right? So commando may not enjoy police. He enjoy capturing and getting new business. So we as a professional should do this assessment at some point of time. And no matter which situation we are in the projects, we should review and assess it. Do not expect structure in the commandos line, right? And do not expect scale and efficiency uh, in the initiation phase, right? Because these are the volatile, chaotic. So the key takeaway again is to assess which characteristics is more aligned to your basic personality. And just to be honest, all three are equally important, right? We need all three people. But you, as and I'm sure there are a few people in this call who may be managers as well. So when we are assigning the people with their strength, if it is possible, assign in those roles where uh, if you like policing, if you like maintaining efficiency, scaling, go for the in-life maintenance and changes. If you hate chaos, commandos positions are not for you. So yeah, the just a different perspective to think about the roles and the journey in the different projects. Okay, any questions so far?
So Nikhil, there was one question in the Q&A. Hari Kumarthi had asked if the business KPIs and design patterns, I think, in the previous slide, are they available somewhere or is it organization defined?
No, so very good question, Hari. So business KPIs are very operator specific or the organization specific, and typically mentioned in the statement of the work or the contractual documents that why an operator or the organization wants to change. Uh, uh, Generally, right, one should go through the websites and see the public forum where people are complaining about the services, and you will see the real picture that what is happening, right, and what is the pain points. But yeah, to answer your question, business KPIs are very much aligned to the operator specific, and these are documented in whenever we are initiating the projects in the statement of work. Design patterns again depends on two factors. One is the technology, another is the domain. So design patterns for the technology like cloud, microservice architecture, there are very specific design patterns available, freely available. So if you just Google design patterns for cloud or microservice, you will see lots of good practices. Very handy, very useful. For the domain side, I would interchangeably use best practice in the design pattern, where if you have done already a project for an operator, now you go for a second operator, you already built those patterns in your mind that this is the best practice, this is how it should be done. These are the other operators doing it, working well for them. So it's a kind of a mental model. So yeah, it depends on your experience and the projects.
All right. Thanks, Nikhil. I think we can go ahead. No other questions at the moment.
Great. So, excuse me. So moving on, three characteristics of highly effective BAs. Once again, BA, solution designer, architects, whichever role you're playing, just interchange with that. One thing which I believe every one of you might be noticing is I'm using effective term, not efficient. Efficiency is doing the things rightly. Effectiveness is doing the right things, right? It depends on, it again come back to your time management and priority. There are 10 problems lying in your table. You cannot solve all the problems because your time is limited. So as a consultant, we need to prioritize and solve the problems, which brings a lot of values to the team. So that is why, from my perspective, one should chase effectiveness, not efficiency. Again, it depends on whether you're starting your career or not. In the beginning, both matters. But over a period of time, effectiveness is a better parameter to better KPI for individual. So three characteristics of highly effective BAs is first is a high agency, entrepreneurial mindset, and the third is customer empathy. I have a quick story about all these three, where we will review and check what are these characteristics so that you can relate. High agency is the initiative and proactiveness. High agency is, okay, let me go to the next slide and see yourself. So there are two people, A and B. A is asking for a help. B is doing something about it, right? So the person A is a victim, and he is just cursing his situations, the situations which is out of his control. The situation maybe is in his control. By the way, it is not wrong to ask for help, but at the same time, one has to be proactive and diligent to do things which is in his or her control, right? So high agency and entrepreneurial mindset is about utilizing the resources and doing the best you can in a given situation. We all have mix of things where, and by default, as a human, we go into the victim mentality. This is working, this is not working. Organization process sucks, right? My manager doesn't help me. My mentors are not good. Company is not good. But then there are a few people, and again, based on my experience, even in the toughest of situations, they do something, right? And they do not wait for the end result, and whatever is in their control, they do it. They try building something, and then they ask for the help, and things start building up continuously. So high agency, entrepreneurial mindset, two characteristics for any effective business analysis or a solution architecture. Yes, there will be few things will be out of control, but things which in your control, which you can influence, do your best, right? Do not wait for people to come and give you a process guide that, okay, now do I do it. So these two, I have clubbed two characters into one slide. Very important, top in my list. I have seen people who ace these two and are again they are linchpin in their organizations. Next one is a customer empathy. So there was a question previously that how developers can move into the BA role. And my perspective, customer empathy is the one of the biggest things one should learn, not only for the people who are in technical background, but even though who are in business background. So this is a small case study. Few weeks back, I did share this in my LinkedIn as well. So there was a problem of unauthorized use of phones in the SIM cards in the prison. And they were very annoyed and concerned that every time they used to raid the prison, they find a lot of phones in the SIM cards. And any person with a conventional wisdom will make a policy that, okay, let's make it strict. Let's search every person who is going inside and outside. And if somebody is finding it guilty, let's severely punish. This is the conventional wisdom, right? This is what is, I would say, for the default, a lot of people, this is the default response. But now if you just turn around the situation and see it more empathetically, majority of these prisoners were keen to be in touch with their family and relatives. And most of the prisoners were using the SIM cards and the phones not to, I mean, we have seen the movies, not to take use of other people and, get out of the prison, but most of the people and majority of the people were wanted to speak to their relatives and the friends. Somebody in the administration thought about it. They put a moderated phone booth facility, and guess what? This whole phone and SIM cards during raids, I won't say it was that it came to zero, but they reduced from 100% or 90% to 10% or 5%. From my perspective, this has been the biggest lesson where one needs to be empathized. And again, when we talk about the customer empathy, please be aware that we are talking about the customer as an internal or external customer. Developers and QAs are also a customer for BAs and vice versa, right? Your manager, your stakeholders, they all are somewhere the stakeholders, right? So if you build the empathy, right? If as a business analyst or the architect, if you build this empathy, your thought process changes, your your way of looking at things changes, because this is where you will not go for by default every solution. You will look out for the solutions which meets the business objective. So very, very important skill. How do one learn this? I would say, do not go for your default response to any problem. Take a step back, think about it, put yourself in other one's shoes, and give it a time. So give it a pause between situation and reaction, and slowly it builds up. I mean, this is just a process which has worked for me, and I'm sure if you practice it, it may wonder for you as well. So yeah, 3 skills we discussed: customer empathy, very, very important; high agency, entrepreneurial mindsets. Okay, now moving to the next segment is what is the typical due diligence for the business analysis. And I have taken a liberty to customize this slide slightly towards the Netcracker, what we do in Netcracker, so that we can take this opportunity to give an overview about what is the typical day of BAs and the solution architects. So in general, over the life cycle of the project, whether you are in a commando position or infantry or police, you're still dealing with the requirements, right? With the customer empathy. Depending on the role, you will be doing the backlog planning, prototyping, business analysis, again as a solution, is a techno-function role. So we prepare the high-level design, data modeling, solution approach assessment. Every problem may have a different and multiple solution aspects. So business analysts take that role and sometimes drive it along with the solution architects to define the optimum solution. Any solution is not good unless it works end to end. So there is a great need for the cross-stream alignment, where the multiple components, multiple stakeholders needs to be aligned and come to a party. Solution delivery and the dev and QA support. So these are the typical due diligences I have seen and we have seen in the typical business analyst role, whether you're a junior or a senior, doesn't matter, but most of the aspects will still be present. Again, it depends on at what stage of the project you join. So if it is in the very beginning, then you'll be starting with the requirements. If it is the mid, then one will be focusing more on the design side. And if it is towards the end, then probably you'll work on the CR enhancements and the BAU changes. Netcracker BA role is very important in the sense that one needs to be technology aware, one needs to be domain aligned, and of course, in order to play a customer facing role, you need those soft skills, behavioral skills, and customer empathy. Okay, any questions so far?
Nothing yet from the
great
Q&A on the chat.
Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Is typical business analysis career roadmap, right? So as we have a mix of audience from the different experiences, so I thought probably we will give and talk about this aspect as well. So generally, folks starts from the development and QA background as well. But if we talk about the business analysis, that they start with as a junior business analyst and the senior business analyst role. What is the major difference in terms of as a first step? I think one needs to be more specialist, have a more depth in a given area, and as in one grows with the experience and the projects, you can move to the multiple areas and take a role of generalist, right? So specialist is more depth, less breadth. Generalist is breadth as well as depth. And probably once you move forward, I have seen the folks make a way to the project management side if they want to manage, if they like the policing side of the world, the solution architecture, if they like infantry side of the world, they want to build, and the product management, as well as now the pre-sales, where if you more aligned towards technology and you love building up the proposals and supporting our sales team, business analysts may go towards that role and play the role, right? Now, senior business analyst, solution architecture, these are all delivery roles. So as I said in the beginning, even though I'm working as a lead business analyst, but I'm playing a multiple roles here and depending on the situation. So it again depends on the organization to organization, what sort of due diligence is expected, irrespective of the type. But yeah, this is a typical career roadmap I've seen. One question in the beginning of the presentation was how dev and QAs can move. Definitely, there is a way. I do see that development and QA folks have the inherent advantage because they have seen the other side of the world, whether it is a development or QA, and with just few upskilling plans, they can easily move if they want to operate and work in this area. Okay, now we're coming to the last slide of the session, which is few pointers to ace the role. I'll keep it very crisp. Think and act like a business analyst. So any role which you want to play, I certainly believe you have to start acting like now, right? Inherit all the aspects. Be curious and ask questions. Business analysts always challenge the status quo. Do not settle with the answers which has been given to you. So be curious, ask questions. Why it is done this way? Why it is not in this way? Right? That is how one learns. Know your stakeholders. So stakeholder management is a very, very important aspect of the business analysis, where one needs to understand the influence as well. Who is a decision maker? Who is a gatekeeper? Who is the tougher guy, right? You need to manage. Who is the person you need to take approval, probably not in the meeting room, but towards the cafeteria, right? So if you know and understand these aspects, if you can manage your stakeholders well, you'll always have a success. Be a problem solver. So as I said, we all going to have the problems. It's just that the nature of the problem varies. And my manager used to say that as long as there are problems, we are employable, right? There were no problems, we were unemployed. So yeah, jokes apart, there will always be a problem. One should build the reputation and the brand that no matter which technology it is, which customer it is, you have the reputation to solve the problems and bring values, right? Not only on the thoughts, not only on the strategy, but doing and executing things on the ground. And very important, my favorite is focus on outcome and not an output. Think like a doctor, you're going for a surgery, right? And the surgery is completed. Surgery is completed is an output. Whether patient is alive or not is an outcome. So you as a doctor has an objective to successfully perform the surgery with the patient alive, right? Not making patient die. So outcome is very important. Focus on what are the key deliverables and key things for you in a given problem. Not only focus on efforts, but what value you're bringing to the table. So outcome is very, very important. Yeah, so these are the top 5 pointers from my perspective are very important to ace this role. So anyone who is wants to move into this role or who is already performing this role and want it to the next level. Great. Now we come to the end of the session. I think we covered. Happy to answer any questions if anybody have. Puneet, I see a few questions here. Do we want to unmute few folks maybe now? And
yeah, sure. So Avinash has a question. In Netcracker, we have lead business analyst and principal consultant or solution architect. For a person who is techno-functionally aligned, which path is preferable for him after he becomes a lead BA?
Yeah. So Avinash, it depends on whether you wants to move into the solution. I mean, there is no right answer, right? You have to assess yourself. So one is solution architecture side, where you will not only work on the solution aspects of it, but also review slightly towards the commercial aspects of it, whether the change is costly or not, whether change matches with the other parts of the solution. And the principal consultant is also one step ahead, who is taking care of multiple modules and the components and towards the end-to-end goal. Not very different role from each other, but solution architecture has a wider breadth, if I could put it that way, for in terms of the projects.
All right. Sarvagya also has a question. He has been a developer for 8 years and 2 months that he has become a BA now. So what should be his focus area for the initial first few months?
Yeah, so if you're already Netcrackers, okay, first of all, congratulations. Good decision to be Netcracker at this point of time. We are growing very fast. Being a product company, I would say focus on the product knowledge as a very, very first task, right? Understand the out of the box capabilities, understand what products offer. And then slowly, once you start getting into the things, you can work on you can assess yourself in those 4 dimensions and take a more than happy to address any questions offline while you're already in Netcracker. Yeah, I see a question in Q&A. So BA role is a centerpiece of the entire. How do we manage the learning, keeping all the stakeholders happy? Yeah, so you cannot keep everyone happy, Sandeep. So you need to probably switch between. You need to switch the containment zone and see which is the most burning problem. See, from my perspective, there are 2 ways. One is problem solving the problem before they appear, and second is the firefighting mode. So if we go towards the effectiveness where we can identify the problem proactively, of course, easier said than done. We will be in a better position. Of course, as a leader and managers also needs to have an eye of the people who are solving the problem proactively rather than doing always the firefighting mode. So it is a tricky aspect. We all sometimes are overwhelmed with that aspect in the and yeah, you need to do a 80-20 rule, maybe Pareto principle, which 20% of your stakeholders are giving 80% of business and are influential or probably critical at that point of time.
All right. We have another question from Nikhil. He's asking, the certifications like ETOM help a business analyst to turn up into solution architect, or knowing telecom business would suffice?
Absolutely, it does help. But Nikhil, I am also certified on these areas of ETOM which you mentioned. When I was doing the business process guy role in my previous organization. See, anything which you learn in the domain side is always helpful. It's a long-term game, Nikhil. So do not think that it will help you immediately, but it helps. My only suggestion will be go for the certifications and the trainings where you can go into a face-to-face workshops. I did this 7 years back, and I had a lot of amazing folks from the different verticals and the industries. So it helps. See, certifications always are the launch pads, right? They are not these are not something which can guarantee you, but it helps you going into the student mode, understanding the basics. If you learn few terminologies and if you are able to participate in those engaging conversations with business, the job, the certification is done. That is how I see it. So yes, I believe it helps. Does it help in all organizations? Maybe yes or no, right? So if you are playing a role of any business analyst in any organization where you are not doing a specific role in the immediate term, probably it may not help in the immediate term. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, great. We have another question from Subhajit. He's asking about, do we have some mentoring or shadowing for people new to be a role or who would want to grow their expertise?
Yes, absolutely. So Subhajit, my question is, are you in Netcracker or outside Netcracker? If you are a Netcracker, we do have a fantastic onboarding kit available for anyone who joins. We have a team who are playing the roles of the mentors. So yes, absolutely, we do have mentoring trainings. We do have live experiences where we can groom as a business analyst.
All right. Jyoti has a question. She's working as a senior developer and wants to become an architect. She wants to know how and where exactly her work should be and what should she focus on.
Yeah, again, I think these questions slightly confusing me. Are they already in Netcracker or not? That helps me answering the question in the context. So I'll assume that you are in Netcracker, Jyoti. Need to be architect. And sorry, I'm just reading the question. Where is it?
It's in the answered one. Just click on the answered. The last, yeah.
Last one, yeah. Need to be architect. So the very first step, Jyoti, is think like an architect. I would say the thing which has worked for me is look for an immediate person who's playing that role. Have a coffee meeting with him or her once a month. Try to get the mind mapping exercise with him or her. Understand what sort of problem he or she is solving and addressing, and take a decision whether now you really want to play that role or not. Because sometimes these roles look very fancy outside, and when you get into the day-to-day aspects of this job, you may not actually like it. So my suggestion will be in the company of these people, right? Find an architect, a person who is playing that role already in your organization, or the team. Understand those aspects, yeah, and build those solution skills, right? Look for the breadth, look for the solution architecture skills where you do not only address the requirements and the solution, but you look into the non-functional side of business, scalability, reliability, right? And the moment you start getting into those terminologies and the thought process, I'm sure at some point of time you can have a conversation with your manager that you're ready.
All right, we have a question from an anonymous person who wants to know what are the certifications apart from IIBA can a BA acquire and which will be useful. And then obviously further to that, the person is asking what workshops at Netcracker is being done or that we are providing to help aspiring BAs within the community.
Yeah. So what certifications other than IIBA? It's very difficult for me to answer because there's no one single answer, dear anonymous. It depends on which, again, those four dimensions. Where do you want to get into? So if you love technology, probably look into one of the technology certificates. If you love new emerging technologies, go for the technology cloud aspects. I would still suggest that even if you don't want to go for IIBA, so I'm assuming you have not gone for IIBA. IIBA has a very good curriculum in terms of the skills. Right? So even if you do not want to be certified, look into the content in the guide. Yeah. And look into the other soft skill aspects of it, because for me, business analysis, as I said, is in the beginning as well. It's a mix, right? So look for the problems, look for the business challenges, understand what workshops is Netcracker providing for aspiring BA within the company. So again, slightly difficult question whether you are already a BA or you are in development profile and wants to move. But I can give a generic answer that we have a very comprehensive training mechanism for anyone joining Netcracker. So these training aspects are divided into two aspects. One is the technology or the technical product aspect, and another is the soft skill aspect. And yeah, so we do have these onboarding exercises where we focus on both aspects and then onboard you into the project. And then in my team and in fact in our practice, we assess holistically on those aspects to the newcomer and give probably the career roadmap going forward. Because there's no one skill set or map for it which fits for all. I hope that helps.
Yeah. And just adding to what Nikhil is saying, apart from that, we also have something called communities of practice at Netcracker, which are different groups. So you have a group for BAs, you have a group for QAs. Golang has a community wherein you can collaborate with people from different geographies working on different projects, part of different business units. And there are chat groups and support sessions happening. So yeah, you can explore that as well. Sarvake is asking if we should go for BA certification like CCBA or CBAP.
Sarvagya, what experience level you are in currently? If you may just type in. So can we unmute him or her?
Yeah, I think we can bring him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, sir. Yes. Right.
Hi, Nikhil. I have worked 8 years as a developer in order management in telecom, and I'm about to complete my 2 months duration in Netcracker as a business analyst. So, since this is a very new role for me, so these 2 months I've been focusing, reading on things, all the trainings I have done. So I'm pretty much clouded. I mean, my mind is clouded. Should I go for ETOM certifications or CCBA certifications or CBAP certifications? So I'm not able to decide as to if CBAP will help enhance my business analysis skills, or since currently I am into this, I should go for ETOM certification. So there is a kind of cloud in my mind as to what should I do. Should I go for it now, or should I wait for a few months, understand the system and the how it works, and then later go for it? Is my actual question.
Yeah, get it. So with this level of experience and moving into the business analysis role, moving into the role, there are two aspects I can think of. First is you doing the self-study and probably look for the people who are like-minded, who are your profile, and form a close group of people, right, who can help. And second is CBAP is a good certification to do at this experience range, right? So if you were in 12 plus or 10 plus, probably I would have said no, it's too late now. But if you're in a 8 years of experience range, I would say yes, go for it. It will give you a new perspective. It will give you terminologies. It will give you a framework. It will give you a foundation, right, for the business analysis. But again, my recommendation is do not look for immediate benefits.
Sure.
Right? It is going to give you a vocabulary and terminology. Because what happens is if you come into the business analysis world, there will be a lot of people who will already be using these concepts in their mind, right? And sometimes in a group, people assume that other people also know it because we are already operating in this environment. This certification may or may not help. I mean, may help you to build a term. I have not done this personally, right? I have seen the curriculum and I found it as a good one already seen.
Okay. All right.
Thanks. So Jani had a question on what was the certification which was asked earlier. It was IIBA. That
and
was
CBAP. Yeah, ETOM, IIBA, CBAP.
Yeah. She's also asking if there is any group or community in Netcracker for certifications. So Jani, you can connect with me offline. I can take this up separately. Okay. Any other questions anybody has? If not, then I would thank everyone once again for taking out time to attend the session. Thank you, Nikhil, for this wonderful session. I'm sure a lot of insightful things that you discussed and people's query got answered. Thanks, Julia. You guys have a great evening and rest of the week ahead.